Hello and welcome to On Second Street. For those who are interested in public policy and reading about it, we're going to chat today with two authors about some interesting books that they've written on public policy. The first book is written by Tristin Hopper. It's called Don't Be Canada, in which Tristin argues that Canada has actually made a number of public policy mistakes. But first, we're going to chat with Bob Lamondon. He's the author of a new book called Freedom Fighter, which looks at the life and history of Canada's former Prime Minister, John Diefenbaker. Bob, thanks for taking a few minutes to chat with us here today. I'm interested in learning a little bit more about Prime Minister Diefenbaker, but first let's start off with why did you decide to write a book about John Diefenbaker?
So this is my sixth book, and every book I've written has been about Canada. With the thesis that
Mhm.
we're an improbable nation that somehow has survived and thrived, largely because of the exceptional leadership that we've had over our history. And the more we know about our leaders and our past, the better informed we are to face the challenges of today. And there's much to learn from John Diefenbaker.
So maybe if you could just tell us a little bit about John Diefenbaker, the man. Where did he come from? How did he rise to become Prime Minister of Canada?
So he was born in Ontario. Father was a school teacher. And born into considerable poverty. They moved from Ontario to Saskatchewan, and he was kind of an average student, but something of an outsider with a Germanic surname. Moving out west just before the First World War. He was kind of resistant to the powerful and the mighty, kind of identified with the underdog. He always had an interest in history and in politics. And that naturally, he served in the First World War, um, and established a career in law. And that, I think, cemented his sense of the injustices that were in Canada, led to a career in politics, although it wasn't an easy start. He ran in five federal and provincial elections before finally winning in 1940 in Saskatchewan to federal parliament. And then once in federal parliament, again, he was an outsider within his party. He ran twice for the leadership and lost badly. And then eventually in 1956 won the leadership, not because he was highly regarded by the power brokers within the party, but because he established this close relationship with ordinary Canadians. He was their fighter for those who
Mhm.
were poor or who faced discrimination. So he stood up for the rights of individual Canadians, and with a deep attachment to the monarchy and British tradition, and for an independent Canada. And that was the mindset and the values that he brought to office when he was elected unexpectedly as prime minister in 1957.
Mm. Yeah, I noticed that in your book, you talk about how he had this desire to stand up for the underdog, people that were, uh, you know, often facing great challenges in society. Could you tell us maybe just a couple of examples before we go to commercial break of sort of how he stood up for the common man?
So in his legal work, he accepted the cases that others would refuse. So, and when they were unpopular to take on, that included, the cases of people who were supporting minority language rights in the West for French language, people convicted of capital crimes who weren't, well regarded in their communities, but he thought that they deserved a strong defense, but no more so than sticking up for the rights, and the uh, for Indigenous people in Canada. So whenever they were charged with a crime, and they would, you see this, throughout the book, John Diefenbaker was there to
Hmm.
support them when others would not.
Hmm. Yeah, it's certainly an interesting man that contributed a lot to Canadian society. When we come back, Bob, I want to chat with you about sort of his legacy as prime minister. What were the things that he got right? What were the things that he got wrong? When we come back, we'll be chatting more about John Diefenbaker.